Today we are going to work on dividing polynomials by using long division. This is TEKS for Algebra 2, 7C. So for long division, we are going to first check that we have every term represented. What I mean by that is we have x cubed, x squared, x, and then a number. So we don't have any missing terms. If we had a missing term, we are going to have to put a 0 in place of it. But we don't have it. So I'm going to go ahead and, if you guys remember like elementary division where we had to do a box like that, and our dividend, which is our numerator, goes inside the box, and our divisor is going to go outside the box. There's going to be 3 important steps that we're going to keep repeating on these problems. So the 3 steps I want you to write down is step 1, I want you to divide. Step 2, I want you to multiply. And then step 3, you're going to subtract. Now this subtraction you're going to do in the problem, so we won't actually show it on the side, but everything else I'm going to show on the side here. So step 1 is divide. What are we dividing? We are dividing the first term of the dividend by the first term of the divisor, okay? So my work that I'm going to show on the side here is x cubed divided by x, okay, you get x squared. Whenever you divide, this is part of your answer. So we put this on the top. Step 2, we're going to multiply. We're going to take the x squared that we just found, and we're going to multiply it by everything on the outside. So x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times -5 is -5x squared. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write this underneath the same term. So we have x cubed, I line it up, and we line up our x squareds. Now step 3 is subtract. Okay. I'm going to subtract everything here, which basically means that all my signs are going to change. So instead of this being a positive x cubed, it's a negative x cubed, and this is a positive 5x squared. So these should always cross out because they add to 0. So those always cross out if you do things correctly. Now you have -8 plus 5. You get -3x squared, and you're going to bring down the next term. Okay, and we're going to start the process all over again. Step 1, we're going to divide the first term by this first term. So we're going to start the process by doing -3x squared divided by x. When we divide them, we get -3x. Remember, whenever you divide, it is part of your answer. Step 2 is multiply. You take the -3x that you just found and you multiply it by everything on the outside. So multiply, you get -3x squared plus 15x. So step 3 is subtract, which means I'm going to change both of those signs. So I have -3x squared and I have a plus 15x. But because I'm subtracting this, both the signs are going to change. This will change to a positive, and this is going to change to a negative. And so now I can add them straight down. -3 plus 3 is 0. Now I have 25 minus 15. I get 10x. And then I bring down my last term of -50. So let's repeat this process one more time. Step 1, divide my first term by my first term outside. Number 1, I have 10x divided by x, I get 10. Whenever you divide, this is part of your answer. Step 2 is multiply. Take the 10 that you just found and multiply it by everything on the outside, and you get 10x minus 50. So I have 10x minus 50. Step 3 is subtract, which means I'm actually going to change both the signs, and now I can add going straight down. And I have no remainder, so this is my final answer. And if you have no remainder, this is a linear factor, okay? But the most important thing is knowing that this is my quotient, this is my answer, okay? We'll do just one more problem of practicing long division. Again, we're going to do the steps 1, 2, 3 over and over again. Okay, I went ahead and skipped to example number 3. Now again, before I write out my problem, I want to see if I have a spot for each degree. I have x cubed, I have x squared. I don't have an x, and I have a 5. So when I write my division, in place of x, I need to put a 0. Now I look at my divisor, which is my denominator, and I'm also missing an x there. So when I write this on the outside, I also am going to put a place value for the x. Now follow the same pattern we used on the last problem. We took the first term of the dividend and we divided it by the first term of the divisor. So step 1, we have 3x cubed divided by x squared. When I divide these, I get 3x. Remember that whenever you divide, this is part of your answer. Step 2 is to multiply. We're going to take the 3x that we just found, and we are going to multiply it by everything on the outside. And now you're going to see why that 0x place value was important, okay? We have 3x cubed plus 0x squared minus 3x. Step 3 is subtract. So I'm going to take those terms and I'm going to line them up underneath the same degree. Now this is why that 0 was important, because it helps me line them up. Okay? Now step 3 is subtract. So this is going to change to a negative. This is going to change to a negative. And this is going to change to a positive. And now I can add them going straight down. Negative 2 minus 0 is still negative 2x squared. 0 plus 3x is 3x. And you can bring down your last term here. Okay? We're going to repeat that process all over again. You take your first term, and we are still dividing by this first term outside. Okay? So step 1, negative 2x squared divided by x squared. When you divide those, you get negative 2. Whenever you divide, that is part of your answer. Step 2 is to multiply. Multiply the negative 2 that you just found, and you're going to multiply it by everything on the outside. When we multiply, we get negative 2x squared plus 0x plus 2. Step 3 is subtract. So I'm going to go ahead and write those numbers under here. And then I have to remember to change every sign. So this changes to a positive. This changes to a negative. This changes to a negative. And then I can add them all together. Those add to 0. I'm left with 3x plus 3. Now, I can't divide anymore, okay? Notice my degree here. This is a first degree, this is a second degree. Because I'm done dividing, I'm left with a fraction, okay? This is my remainder right here. So it's actually easier to divide by a second power because you actually have less steps. So my remainder is going to go on top. And I can put the x squared minus 1 on the bottom. That is my official answer. Okay. Hopefully this video helped you practice some long division of polynomials.